Hey everyone, I think we are live. Hello, and thank you so much for being here. Give me just one moment. All right. Well, I hope that you're all doing well. I haven't been watching the news a whole lot lately. I've been a bit busy, but I did have our members live yesterday. I announced our December dates for members. Um, we're going to do our Reiki show on December 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and our personal mini reads or whatever questions you have for me on December 18th, which is a Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Those are tentative dates, but those are the plans right now. I am going to be taking off a little bit this week, but I do believe that I'll be on Cool Crone's channel on Friday night. Susan Lynn should be there, and Cleo will be there. So I think we're doing political. So if I don't get to your question tonight, stop by Friday night. Next week on Monday, I'm going to be on Deborah Zacco's channel. She does numerology. I don't remember what her channel name is. I think it's, let's see. Just want to get it right. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry. It's Grow Your Light with Deborah. So I will post that on the community tab when I have a thumbnail for that. So I think we'll be doing politics there too. So I haven't been watching a lot of news, so I don't know a whole lot that's going on. Been pretty busy lately, which is great, but so some of these might be new questions. I see we got a lot already. If y'all can do me a favor, please please subscribe if you haven't already. I think we're about 250 away from 10K, so help me get that goal by the end of this year or beginning of next year. That would be great. And we'll do another free reading and Reiki giveaway. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, we have Thanksgiving on Thursday, so I'm wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And I know the holidays are hard for some people, but just sending a lot of love and hugs for everybody, and hopefully everybody has a good holiday. All right. Let's take a look at some of your questions. We're doing political, current events. If you have a question, go ahead and write them in the chat, all caps, a couple emojis if you can, and I'll get to as many questions as possible. Obviously, Thursday night, me and Mel aren't doing a show, but we'll do one next week. So, all right. So Giselle asked the first question. What did 45 think of his kids' testimonies, especially Ivanka's? That's interesting. I did feel that he was irritated with Don Jr.'s. I feel like there's always been a bit of that dynamic between Don Jr. and Don Sr. Like Don Jr. constantly wants his approval, and he's always shut down. So I do feel like there was a bit of irritation with Jr. I'm not feeling that necessarily with Ivanka, but I can throw a couple cards. I have a little bit of a migraine today, you guys, so hopefully we can be on for an hour. But if it starts to really bother me later, I'll read as much as I can. Yeah, he's always pissed off with Don Jr.'s secret hack. Yeah. All right. I don't get that. I don't feel Donald and Ivanka have been on the best of terms or really speaking a whole lot. I definitely feel like Ivanka's kind of taken a step back. I do get the Eight of Swords here, which is feeling a bit trapped and restricted. It's hard because I don't feel that Trump is in the best mental state. I've said for a while it feels like he's a bit trapped in his mind. I've always picked up on some dementia there, so it doesn't seem like he's in the right mind anyway. but maybe something that she said he felt like didn't help him. So there does feel like there's some disappointment there. I don't think her testimony was if it was live, but it does feel like there's some insight that she's given. I don't think it has to do with the New York case, though. It feels more like maybe with the January 6th stuff that he's really angry with her about. But I do feel like there's some disappointment there. I think he's angry at the world right now, including his kids. Like he's not satisfied with anything right now. So, but I feel more pulled to Don Jr. with the anger. So I hope that helps and answers your question, Giselle. All right. We've got lots of questions coming in. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is a good one. We'll go to this one next. Will the UK Liberal Party end up holding the balance of power of a new Labour government? I did feel like a shift to more progressive. Um, that's the Labour Party. I'm not sure when the next election is, Roy, but I do feel like a shift in power for the UK. But I'll throw a couple cards on it. Let's see how it almost feels like too. I don't know if they can do an earlier election because it feels like it actually might be a little bit sooner than what is planned. Does anybody know when the next election in the UK is for their parliament? I'm not the most knowledgeable on Canadian or British politics, so they call it by Jan. No, it's sooner than 2026, Roy. It actually feels like it might be next year, like towards the end of next year. I do feel like there's a bit of a fallout for the current Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, I think is his name. It does feel like there's a lot of energy coming up with him, like a big scandal. I think that might be what calls the election sooner. Yeah, there's some quick movement coming in. I think people are really dissatisfied with the current government in the UK. I get that they want to head in a new direction. The Labour Party is going to be victorious because people they're over it. You know, I think a lot of people are hurting in Ukraine. I think with their finances. You know, I feel like there's going to be thinking that the party in right now has abused power, and then them charging full head for another election. And I do get the government will be for that. There'll be a shift. So it doesn't it feels sooner than 2026 though. I'd say towards the end of next year, beginning of 2025. It's no later than okay. So they call it whenever. Got it. Thank you, boundaries. Let's take a look at this. How will Kavanaugh rule and the inevitable appeal of the Eighth Circuit decisions for voting rights. And if I remember correctly, was it saying that only the DOJ could bring suits to challenge the voting rights, to make sure that, Kavanaugh rule. So how it works, correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be appealed, I feel that, the decision. So then it would go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would decide whether to take this case or send it back, because I almost feel like he's sending it back, unfortunately. But I feel like the DOJ is on top of it, too. It feels like it's a bit of a setback is what I'm picking up. I hope I'm wrong. Yeah, I agree, Karen. These conservatives they don't act what's right. If they cared what was right, they wouldn't be taking all these bribes. How will Kavanaugh? I don't think it's the end of it, though. I don't know if they could bring up another suit on this. Yeah, I feel like it's a retreat from it. I'm sorry, you guys. Like it goes back. Because I get that we're disappointed. Kavanaugh's coming in here trying to be strategic, not wanting to give that win, not wanting to take it up. But I do get that there's slow but steady progress in the future. Four of Swords is kind of taking that step back. To me, it's kind of like sending it back to the decision that was already made. Trying to blur the lines here. So, but it does feel like the DOJ is on top of it, and it almost feels like there's another something to kind of bring this up. I do feel it feels more like after 2024 that there is. I don't know if it's I don't remember his name off the top of my head. The voter rights bill, but I do feel like there's energy put in to stop all this gerrymandering, and almost I feel at some point we're shifting away from states deciding their own maps to like independent consultants coming in and drawing the maps to get out the partisan and to stop the gerrymandering. And it feels like it's a federal bill that's passed. So I do see progress in the future, but I feel like it's after 2024. Oh, interesting. CC says the ruling is limited to 7 states. See above news article. Yeah, I'll have to look more into that. She says, NBC News, the ruling, which applies to Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, Missouri, North Dakota, South Dakota, found that only the U.S. AG can bring suits under Section 2 of Voting Rights Act. Well, at least it's not in full, but I do feel like Kavanaugh doesn't take it up. Sorry to say, but then again, if Kavanaugh doesn't take it up, then I'm sure that there'll be other states that want to challenge the voting rights. So, like I said, it feels like there's progress in the long run, but it feels like a minor setback. Yeah, I do feel Thomas is out. Timing's always hard, but I do feel before the next election, Joel. Kavanaugh feels later. I almost feel like it will be Thomas out first, and then either Thomas or it'll be Thomas out first, and then I think maybe Roberts and then Kavanaugh. Theirs feels like they're more leaving like 2025. I don't know which one's first with that though. But Thomas, I think, is the first one out, is what I've always picked up. All right. Somebody asked about Taylor Swift and Kelsey. Their romance, do I see them getting married? I don't follow a whole lot of celebrity gossip. I don't think so. I don't think they're getting married. I think Taylor will be writing a song about Kelsey. That's what I feel. Doesn't feel like it's super bad terms that they leave on, though. I don't see it. I'm not getting any marriage cards. If anything, it feels like things are out of balance for them. I almost wonder if her career and being so busy puts a big strain on their relationship. Like there's not a whole lot of time for them to come together. And I had judgment too from this woman. Something he does. There's a judgment there. Hangman. That's a no. That's my final outcome card. I don't want to spend too much time on Taylor Swift, but I don't feel it. Songwriting material, yeah. All right. Somebody else asked about JFK and what my thoughts are on it. I do feel more evidence coming out about the assassination. Um, I've, for entertainment purposes only, I've always felt that it was some kind of inside job. Is what I've gotten. That we haven't gotten the full truth, but I do feel like there's more illumination on it. So that's what I'll say with that. Hasn't there supposed to have been more information coming out about that, and it hasn't came out? Like them trying to, like the government's trying to decide on how to release it to the public is what I'm kind of feeling, because I do feel like there's some new shocking stuff in there. Yeah, CIA. Yeah, there's more coming out about it. I do see that. I don't think that they're going to give everything, but I think it's going to raise some questions on, you know, if it, the validity of what we've been told. So, let me write on that. Update on Putin's health. Let's take a look. I told you he's not doing well. He feels very, very weak. They've been able to do some things in the past, like quick fixes, I think. Like it feels like IV, like giving him some kind of medicine to help somewhat, but I feel like he's past the point of no return is what I just heard. I feel like as we speak, those around him, those in his cabinet, I don't know if it's actually cabinet over there, but those in higher up of government are discussing his replacement as we speak. I think that tells you how he's doing. Yeah, there's a lot of changes on the horizon for them. He's trying to push through. He's not able to, though. This is collaboration and communications about Putin, how sick he is, and them trying to reflect on who this replacement is. This is them trying to get their plans together. So I feel like he's on death's door. I don't feel he's passed yet, but I feel like he's close. Ace of Cups, which is trying to heal, him kind of reflecting on the past, wanting to push through it, but they're heading into a new direction without him. And it does feel like hope is on the horizon for Russia. I feel like once Putin's out of the picture, I've said it, it's going to take them a little while to announce it when he has passed. I've always felt like news coming out like in the spring of next year, like March. Maybe he passes in January and then we find out in March. Because they're working behind the scenes to get somebody else in there. And I've always felt that there would be an interim president before they're elected, and then they would have an election. And once Putin does cross it, feels like there's still some issues with Ukraine, but it's a major de-escalation is what I've gotten. And I think last year I said I felt like March things were going to de-escalate in Ukraine, but I think I got the year wrong. I think it's next year, obviously, 'cause we're heading up into that. But I got March really strongly for things de-escalating. So he's not doing well. And Trump's doctors are telling the public what Trump wants them to say. He is not doing well. I've said it. I think every time I read on Trump, I'm pulled to um, something. I'm pulled to the gut, but I've always felt like having maybe a stroke or a heart attack and not being able to get better. But I always get poor health. But he's got a blackness in that solar plexus area. That's what I see. And as I said too, I feel like dementia. All right. I don't really know a whole lot about this, but Laura wants to know P. Diddy settled with Cassie regarding sexual assault. Will others come forward and will it end up in our case situation? Will P. Diddy go to jail? These are for entertainment purposes only. The opinions of my guides and what's coming through. Let me click on that again. I do feel like there has been, it feels like it's more than just Cassie. Yeah, and they settled. Settled too, yeah. I do feel more people coming forward, but it's like he tries to be quick to settle. I don't know if I feel jail, but it almost feels like his fortune and legacy are tarnished. We're doing some current event stuff, huh? Celebrity gossip. Yeah, he's got the Hermit. I see disappointment over the finances. There are more women coming forward. I'm feeling almost like three women. Has he had any cases in the past? Does anybody know? Besides Cassie? Because I'm feeling three women going after him. She may be one of them. I mean, I have the devil here, so I do feel like there were some nefarious, gross things that were happening. Um, and I feel like there's regret. There very well could be jail time. I have my jail card here. It feels more like it's retreat from the public, though. It's kind of what I'm feeling. So that's the pendulum of the jail. I'm not feeling jail, but will P. Diddy go to jail in the future for sexual assault? Spirit, please show me the truth. I'm saying no. But his celebrity's over, and he's going to lose a lot of money. For entertainment purposes only. His wife passed from a mysterious pneumonia. Interesting. I don't feel like that there's foul play with the wife. I do feel like there was love between the two of them, but it does feel like he took advantage of others. Yeah, I hadn't heard. So apparently there's a health report on 45 perfect health. So not true. Well, even when he was president, remember when he had um, COVID, they were like, he's so strong, he's so healthy, and he was really really sick. Like he almost didn't make it, is what I picked up. So it's all yeah, it's all BS. They were divorced. They might have been divorced, but I still feel like they were close. Becky. I feel like there was still a deep friendship there. Maybe they were divorced because of this whole thing. That kind of resonates with me. You know, sleeping around and all of that. What do your guides see about political climate in Romania, Eastern Europe? We have the longest border with Ukraine in the south. Thank you. I did. This isn't related to Romania. I'm not really knowledgeable about world governments, so we'll see what the cards say. But I did tell everybody I felt that there was a shift towards extremism in Argentina, and I saw that their Trump candidate won, fortunately. Oh, interesting. Micah says he was writing a book, he didn't want it out. Mm. I'm still not picking up foul play though. It feels like there are some changes in Romania. Like I said, I'm not sure where their government is, but I do feel like a lot of help with the Ukraine, like being that partner for them, helping giving them resources. Also, it's I think a really good time for brainstorming and new ideas. So there is some positive, progressive um, ideas coming in for them. It does feel like there's some slow and steady growth for them, so it doesn't feel like it's overnight. But but yeah, there's a lot of reflecting I think in Romania. But I do feel like ultimately it's heading into a positive direction. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of heaviness there. So I hope that answers your question. Boundaries. Like I said, I'm not really knowledgeable on politics over there, but it feels good. It feels like they're heading in a good direction, and a lot of help and resources for Ukraine is what I'm picking up. Let me just ask a good question. I missed it. Let me see. Oh, I do see Senator Menendez resigning, Joel. Yes, I've seen that. Feels like it's early next year, spring of next year. If Kavanaugh and Thomas are out, who gets to pick their replacements? Well, it's Biden, because I see a shift in the Supreme Court. I pick up three in like the next 2 years being replaced. And I do feel like Clarence Thomas will be out before the next election. The other two might be shortly after. Because I felt maybe Roberts, Kavanaugh I see leaving. But I think even Roberts. Right. Well, Biden would appoint somebody, the Senate would decide on who gets in. And I feel like they're liberal justices. So, all right. Is the CIA or any other agency investigating the right wing conspiracy to overthrow democracy? Absolutely, Linda. Just you wait. More indictments are coming from Jack Smith in the DOJ for January 6th. But I do feel like I've told you guys the energy does feel a little unsettling with all of these, from some of the far right, the crazy MAGAs. And there's definitely a lot of threats being planned, but I feel a lot of them being thwarted. But absolutely, they're investigating into it. All right. MTG seems to be losing influence and power in Congress since the ouster of McCarthy. Yeah, she was really upset with that. Her and McCarthy had an arrangement there. I do feel like she's a bit spiraling. New House Speaker went to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Trump. How will this affect his speaker? Well, we know who he's getting his orders from. I don't see that being the reason why he leaves April. But he was getting his orders. Right, Lynn? Senate has to approve the nomination with a simple majority. We can thank Moscow Mitch for the majority vote instead of 60 votes. Amen. I almost feel, though, and I'm not a fan of Mitch McConnell, but it almost feels like I don't know if he's in the Senate when it comes to that replacement for Thomas. I don't know why that just came to me. So, all right. Let's take a look at MTG. How's she doing? I don't understand. Hold on. Laura says the Republicans would not let Biden pick a Supreme Court nominee. Then why was it when Trump was president that Trump picked his nominees? I don't understand. We have a majority in the Senate. So what's the issue? The Senate's the one that confirms the justices. Well, they have the votes. They can change the rules. They can change the rules to whatever they want. I mean, McConnell did it. I don't know. I can only tell you what I'm feeling. I do feel like there's a liberal justice replacement for Thomas and for the other two. So They must have to change the rules then. But I've said before too, I do feel like there's changes to the filibuster in the future too. I don't know if it's completely removing it, or it feels more like a talking filibuster where they can debate it on the floor, but they just need a simple majority. But I see them getting rid of that obstacle with the 60 votes. All right, MTG. What's going on with MTG? Yeah, she's very upset that McCarthy's not in there anymore. She's going to continue to be that fool and show her ass. She's not going to back down. She's going to try to push through. But I do get that she's getting tired. Here's like that defense, that alliance with McCarthy. She's unstable. I mean, you don't need a psychic to tell you that. But she's got the Two of Pentacles here, which is off balance. The illusions, delusions, peddling into conspiracy theories. She's working hard here, but she's got some disappointment and she's going to be stuck in the future. I almost feel like she may win re-election in Georgia in her seat, and it's the January 6th that gets her in trouble and gets her out of the Congress. That's what I've always felt. I've always picked up that she may be one of the ones that is jailed, but definitely she's in a pretty red district, I think, and they don't hate her in that district. I do think some of her constituents did flip on her though because of her arrangements with McCarthy. They didn't like the deal she made. But I do think that she wins re-election, but then it's out afterwards. Yeah, good point. Biden put Ketanji Brown Jackson in the Supreme Court 2022. Right. Yeah, I don't see it being a problem. Johnson out as speaker soon. I feel like it's going to be in January or February of next year. It does not feel very long. I feel like he's voted out when they have to agree on this budget again. But I do feel like there's some bombshells coming up before the Republican turn on him and start attacking him. It feels like the same situation with McCarthy. There's just no way to lead that party right now. But I do see him out. I think it's January, beginning of the year. The Electoral College. I do see it ending and turning into a popular vote, Anne, but it feels like it's still a while away from that. And I think that would be hard because I think that they would have to make changes to the Constitution, and you would need like a 2/3 vote of both houses to do that. But I do see at some point that we step away from the Electoral College and into a popular vote. Maybe sometime in the 2030s. It's probably like a decade out, 15 years out. It's a little while still. Carol asked backwards, says February, March. Yeah, not too long. I don't see him in there too long. is is MTG a psycho? I don't know about that, Joel. She's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, isn't she? All right. Rinpoche Rags. I'm sorry, I'm sure I just botched that name. Wondering if you have a positive feeling about the 2024 presidential election. Well, I think it's important to, not be complacent, but I do feel good about 2024, that election for Democrats. I've always felt, and I would tell you if the energy shifted, I'm not feeling a shift in it, but I do feel that Democrats are going to keep the Senate They're going to retake the House, and we're going to keep the presidency with Joe Biden. The Senate has me a little worried because it is such a, you know, Democrats are doing a lot of defenses, and there's not a lot of opportunities to flip seats for Republicans. There's a lot of safe Republican seats up in 2024 and a lot of vulnerable Democratic seats. But I feel good about the Senate too. I feel like, Manchin not running. I feel like West Virginia is going to flip red. So that is losing a seat that, we still have 50-50 Senate. But I feel like the states that we're defending, Montana, Ohio, those stay blue. And I do feel my guides tell me that we're going to have a surprise in some of these red states. Like I'm feeling like two. I don't know if it's I've I've always felt Ted Cruz being out at some point and Rick Scott, but I've also said I feel Holly leaving at some point too to Missouri. And I do think that what's her name? Gloria Johnson in I think Tennessee. I feel like she has a chance too. That's going to be a tough fight, but she really gains a lot of momentum. I feel good about it. These polls keep saying that Republicans are going um, to win, and then we keep having all these off-year elections, which usually don't do Democrats any favors. Usually, they go red because those Republican voters go out and vote, and we're being very competitive and even winning in red states. It's the Roe v. Wade being a big issue for a lot of women, and the threat to our democracy. A lot of them are seeing clearly that the Republican Party is a threat. And I've always said too, between now and the next election, the Republican Party is going to have such a stink to it. It's going to turn off so many voters. I feel like it's doing very good for Democrats, even in red states. So I've said that I don't feel the energy shifting. If I do feel like it's going to shift, I'll let you know. But I've often said too, 2024 seems so important because we're with the climate change, especially, like we're really on the cusp of doing irreversible damage to our ecosystem. And it does feel like it's almost like divinely guided that we need to make these positive changes. And we've really are all the hardships with Trump and the pandemic were really to bring a lot of things that were ugly and hidden for so long to the surface so that we can see them and we can make those positive changes for our democracy. And that's where I feel like we're headed. So, yeah, polls are total BS. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we can't be complacent, though. I think it's important to, talk to our friends and family and get people out there to vote. Because, as we saw in 2016, that was a problem with turnout. I don't feel like it's going to be a problem, but we can't be complacent. I do feel like the polls are BS to an extent. I mean, I've said it before. I don't think that a lot of people are really. Biden's not that enthusiastic, charismatic candidate. I mean, he's done a lot of good, and he doesn't get a lot of all the accomplishments that he does. They don't talk about that on the news. They talk about Trump because Trump is crazy and out there and plays into the fear. He adds fuel to the fire of all the hatred. So, the news would much rather you, and even these polls would much rather you be in a state of fear because they're making money off of it. Is Biden super popular? No, I don't feel that either. He's not very exciting, but I do feel like there's a shift in the popularity come next year. So, but they've been way wrong with 2022, even in a lot of like the voting that we just had. So polls have been wrong for a while. They haven't been very accurate. All right, enough of that. Yeah, Biden's a grandfather forced to step up and clean up the messes of others, right? And I do feel like Biden's legacy is going to be he's going to be looked at as one of the best presidents in history, especially in such a hard time. Where we were this close to our democracy crumbling and you know turning into a fascist, authoritarian country. So I told you guys, let's look at Elon Musk. What's the scandal with him now? Was he making anti-Semitic remarks? Is that what was going on? Because I know that he's getting a lot of hate. I told you before, I didn't feel jail for Elon Musk, but I did feel like he had a lot of trouble, and I feel like he loses so much. Um, like that power and that influence is gone for him. Yes, turn off the TV, read books, or even if you find your favorite psychics on YouTube that calm you down, keep it real with you. I know everybody's so nervous. We got a year still. We'll be looking at all these races as we get closer to them. So just breathe. It's all going to be okay. Hey, Kelly Scarborough. All right, what's going on with Elon Musk? I don't know if this scandal is what takes him out. He feels like he's still pushing through a little bit, but he's definitely weakened. I do feel like government coming in or arrangements that he's made with adversaries coming out and being a huge topic. Yeah, he's got some hardships coming up. Last card out is a hermit, so that's isolation. There's a lot of secrets that will be illuminated, but a lot of things kind of in his closet that come out. He's got retreat, a lot of people working together to take him out. Ten of Swords, so backstab, betrayed. Hermit. The world's watching him right now, so there's a lot more scandals coming in. Like I said, I don't feel jail. It's like he continues to try to push through it, but it's doing a lot of damage and really affecting the finances. The finances above are really unstable. I feel trouble for him. It doesn't feel good. I with you, Karen. Karen believes Elon was funded by Saudi Arabia to destroy Twitter. I always said I felt like that was part of the goal. I even feel communications with Russia. Yeah, Musk stockholders want him out. Yeah, I feel like they're going to get him out too because he's costing them too much money. Yeah, he's a disgrace, and that's what I feel like around him. Like it's a scandal, a lot of big news, even investigations into him. I don't feel personally jail, but it's like the collapse of his empire that he's built. All right, you guys. I think I'm good for just a couple more questions. Like I said, if I don't get to your questions tonight, I should be on Cool Chrome's channel with Susan Lynn and Colleen's sister Cleo on Friday night. Oops, I just got rid of one. And then next week I will be on Deborah's channel, and I'll post that a reminder in the community tab. Sharon says, "Do I see a personal connection between Judge Cannon and Trump, like a love child?" I don't pick that up. I'm sorry, Sharon. It would be interesting. It doesn't feel like it's a super close personal relationship, but I've always said I feel that there was some kind of deal, some kind of exchange between the two of them. I don't feel that Cannon's going to be on the case when it comes to trial. I feel like you know they get her removed as the judge, and more stuff coming out in the future about this deal. I feel like it might actually be like a bribe. I think Trump's going to get in trouble for another quid pro quo. You do this for me, and I'll do this for you. That kind of thing. Because I even feel like at some point, like she's disbarred. I hadn't heard him threatening the judge, but I would not be surprised, Vanessa. And I did feel like I saw yesterday, what was it, the appeal for the gag order. I do feel like it's going to stay in place, but it might be a little bit more restrictive, is what I was picking up. I think a lot of the pundits were saying that, and that really resonated with me. I've always said I feel like Chutkin is not playing with Trump with all the threats. All right. Sorry, you guys. My neck is bothering me a little bit. I have a bit of a migraine. This is for entertainment purposes only. I've always said I feel creepy perv vibes from Mike Johnson, but I don't think it has to do with trafficking. I have read on that. I think when I had Kim from Intuitive You on, we read on it, and I didn't feel a connection with trafficking per se, but I do understand why. If maybe other readers have said that, I do feel like there were maybe some underage people that he's taken advantage of. To me, it feels female, but I know that there's questions about his sexuality, and I feel a question mark with that too. But but I don't feel like involved in trafficking. No. All right. Oh, I did talk about this a little bit earlier. I don't really, like I said. Well, let's take a look at this. I did feel like Argentina was going to have a bit of a hard time for a while with the direction that they went into. Javier Milei, probably saying that wrong. Does anybody know my skincare routine? Why does my skin look good, Myrna? I know that there's an ability with StreamYard and my camera to touch up your appearance a little bit, so it helps with the lighting. So I use um, in the shower. I use a face wash, and I have it's not a lotion. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. It's kind of like a lotion. It's like something water that I put on my face afterwards, just to kind of get all the oil and that shininess off from the face cleaner. But I don't do a whole lot with skincare routine. All right, let's take a look at Argentina. I saw a picture of the guy though that won this Javier. He reminds me. I don't know why I was getting like Boris Johnson vibes, like not somebody that people really take seriously. Kind of like Bozo the Clown energy. It's going to take a lot of strength for them, for the Argentinian people. They're going to get through it. They're going to have to push through it. It's a time of strength. Kind of like when we had Trump as president. This guy is all out for the greed and the power, and there is some shady dealings with him. I do feel, but I do feel like there is some action, and people will put a stop to him, and then we have hope coming in. But it feels like it takes a while. Sorry to say. I don't know how often Argentina does elections for their leaders, but it feels like it's a couple years of this guy making an ass out of himself. And like I said, he doesn't seem like a very serious person. He seems kind of immature. Like I said, I felt like Boris, um, what was his name from the UK, Boris Johnson. Is kind of what vibes I was getting from him. He doesn't feel like he's super bright, like kind of like Trump. They want the power, and they don't really think a lot of their plans through. They're sloppy in that aspect. I feel like Argentina's going to get that change, but it's through some more hardships, unfortunately, Lynn. Oh, I did hear that they had that bond hearing in Georgia. Let's take a look at Harrison Floyd. We'll end here. Was listening to Harrison Floyd's bond revocation hearing. Fonnie Willis was arguing for the state. I did feel his bond hearing, like his bond being revoked, but it did feel like there was a delay with it too. So I'm not sure how that would work, but I did feel that bond would be revoked. If the bond was revoked, he'd have to sit in prison until trial, correct? Throwing stuff. Yeah. Keep Fonnie in your prayers, you guys. I've always told you I didn't have the best feeling about Georgia with these crazies out there. I felt like Fonnie was safe and being watched closely, but I did feel like some kind of skirmish in Atlanta. Or a close call, is what my guys just said. All right. Harrison Floyd. His bond be revoked? I just heard yes. He's not well, though. He feels very mentally unstable. Like there's a history of mental illness there, I think. I feel like it's going to be revoked. He's got jail. Yeah, he's not well, though. I get Fonnie coming in as this Queen of Cups. He's nervous. He's nervous of Fonnie. There might be a little bit of a delay. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how quickly they would act to revoke it, but he's got a bad judgment coming against him that he wants to move on from. Eight of Cups. It's almost like it's like a mental health crisis is kind of what I picked with it. But this is not a good card. He's got Eight of Swords, which is my jail card at the root of his reading. He's trying to hang in there and defend himself, but there's slow action being taken against him. But I feel like that bond will be revoked. That's what I feel. I don't want to do a reading on Jimmy Carter, but thank you for reminding me. With his wife passing, we're definitely sending Rosalind and Jimmy a lot of love. I told you before that I felt like they were going to leave very close together. I had said that a while ago when I think they announced he was in hospice care, but like he was waiting for her. So I think he's going to go really closely, but just sending them and their family a lot of love and a lot of honoring their accomplishments and their service to our country and all the good that they've done. And I don't feel any fear with the crossing. She didn't feel very lucid to me towards the end, so there's a bit of relief of leaving the diseased body. Jimmy still feels like he's still with it a little bit, but just his body feels so super tired is kind of what I'm picking up with that. But he's still lucid with it. But I think he'll be crossing very shortly behind. But yeah, we're sending the Carters a lot of love and a lot of gratitude. So, all right, you guys, we're going to end it there. But thank you all so much for stopping in and hanging out with me. I always enjoy our get-togethers on Tuesday. Sending you all a lot of love. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Please make sure to hit that thumbs up. Please subscribe. Help me get to 10K and we'll do another giveaway. And if anybody would like a reading or a Reiki session, send me an email, kevinlovingvibrations@gmail.com. I have a link in my About section with the email on that, but you also in the description box of this. So sending you a lot of love, and I will see you all soon. All right, take care, everyone.